Hi, it's Marianne with a scrapbooking process video. It's been quite a while since I've uploaded something to my own channel, but here I am. And I was inspired today by a September page map sketch. And on the actual website, with the sketch, there was an example page. And when I looked at it, I was like, oh, I have that scrap. I have that paper. I could use that paper. So the page that inspired this all is by Leslie Berner. I think it was made for paper issues, but it was in one of the examples for the September page maps. So that's what started it all. There's the paper by Pink Paisley, Paige Evans. I looked it up, and it was from the Oh My Heart collection. I don't think I bought the whole collection. I just bought maybe just a few sheets of paper, and that one really spoke to me because it had books on it, and this picture of my daughter. She loves to read. I love to read. She also works in the publishing industry, so I just knew that I had to have that piece of paper. So in the example, there was like this big circle made of, it looked like ink to me. But when I look at it now, she probably just took a thing of mist, like the actual like mister part, and pulled it out of the bottle and then just like dragged it along the page and made a big messy circle, which would have been really cool if I had done that, but I didn't. So I went looking through my stamps. I knew I had a little Cocoa Daisy like circle set. That's what I end up using. So because it doesn't have quite the same I don't know if you want to say width or whatever. It's not the same size at all as the sample page. So I'm going to stamp it a bunch of times. And that's what I'm doing right here. So I had cut down the book paper. And there's one book in particular, I think it's Pride and Prejudice, that I kind of wanted to show. And it's just like one of those, I guess you would call them Easter eggs. Like if you looked on my pages, like it would have meaning to whoever the page is about, kind of thing. So I cut down the piece of pattern paper and I inked the edges with a Hero Arts mid-tone gray. I think it's called Wet Cement. I didn't want it to be too black, but I thought I was going to stamp also in the gray mid-tone, but when I tried it out on my paper, it was just too light, so I went with black, and that's just a standard black ink pad. I think that one's close to my heart. So here I'm just using the whole Cocoa Daisy set. It's probably a few years old. I haven't subscribed to them in a few years, and I don't know that I've really ever used it. So it's like a messy circle, a flower, little circles. So I'm just going to use the whole set and just kind of make something that goes around the photo. I do end up adding something else to it just so that it has the same width to it as the sample page. Not that when you go by a sketch or a scrap lift exactly, it doesn't have to be exact. It could just be, a jumping off point, which is generally what mine ends up being anyway. The background 12 by 12 paper is Maggie Holmes. I believe it's the Flourish collection. It's like a pink, the pink background, and then if you flipped it over, it would have peacocks on it. I was almost positive I wasn't going to use a full sheet of peacocks, and I think I have a lot of double sheets from this collection. So I was kind of stuck for a while what I wanted to do, so I stopped filming just to get my wits about me. I had that little piece of the white pattern paper just sitting on my desk from one of the layouts I had just done, so I just layered it underneath. I liked the way that looked, and I pulled out some embellishments to see if that's what I wanted to use, and these I think are Maggie Holmes. I don't know if they're Flourish or if they're new Willow Lane, but they might be Willow Lane. So it's just an ephemera pack, and I'm just going to use some die cuts. So I'm just going to pull the ones that I feel like I would use. There's a little frame. There's a little saying, I guess. And I could have gone flowers on this layout, but I felt like I didn't want it to turn into like a floral fest. So I'm going to skip that flower. And I really like the colors in that green tag. So I pulled that and that little frame and a teacup. That's what I think I end up using. Oh, and there was some letters in this that spell out dream. So I thought maybe, magic, I'm sorry. It spells out magic, so I thought maybe I would use that. I don't end up using those either. So I am back. I had to stop recording because weirdly my doorbell rang. My doorbell hasn't rang probably in a month, but someone decided to come when I was recording. So I'm going to look through a few more embellishments. I picked out those Vicky Booten word stickers, and I decided that I wanted to do a border, so I went looking through my Maggie Holmes. They are, I believe, 6x8 pads. I only have two. I have this one by Flourish and one by Carousel. So I'm going to look through the Flourish one. I'm going to pick out a piece of paper that I like the looks of. I'm going to go with that one right there. So I didn't need a whole 12 by 12 border because I knew it was going to be, I didn't want it to go straight across the page in that floral. So I kind of just wanted to frame half the page. So I'm going to use this trimmer, this large Fiskars trimmer that I only have a scallop blade in. That's the only blade I ever use it for. It's just a nice little scallop. I'll just keep it to the side of my desk, and it's actually very dusty. I need to clean that. So I'm just going to cut 2 strips and then put a scallop edge on both of them so I can have a top and a bottom border. And I'm going to ink the edges also in that mid-tone gray, the wet cement one. And here I'm just laying out what I wanted to do with those other few die cuts. So that's basically what I want it to look like. And then I knew that I was going to cut some thin strips of 12 by 12 black cardstock just to finish off the tops of the layout so that there'd be a strip of black on top and bottom. I also got a big white doily, and that's more, then the whole page seemed to come together a little bit better. Not, like I said, not that I'm exactly going by the sketch, but it looked too disjointed with just those weird stampings all over the place. I had pulled that card, Love Days Like This. I believe it is from Felicity Jane. And those little glasses are just die cuts that, I don't remember what line it's from. It was just in my die cut book. They're just little gold glasses, so I thought that would look cute on here. And I think the sample page also had a pair of glasses, which is what made me think of it. I don't normally think of things like that on my own. So I put some pop-up adhesive on that, and that little, I used one of the frames from Maggie Holmes on top of the 3x4 card. I like the way that looked. And I'm just trying to pop that up. I cut such little pieces of the pop dots that they were getting stuck to everything but what I wanted it to stick to. So there I'm just inking up the edges of the scalped edges, and I'm just going to cut, like I said, 2 thin strips of the black. And then I spared you me trying to put the black on the top and the bottom. I had to rip it up and do it over. It was a mess, kind of. I guess because I did it as an afterthought. I don't know. Sometimes my brain works backwards. So I'm going to get that all glued together. And then that little die cut that's up at the top that says "Be happy, be bright, be you." I knew that little hole at the top. I also was going to want to put a brad through that. So I'm going to go look for a brad, and the teacup over there is the Maggie Holmes. So I knew I wanted that little frame to be backed by something. So that's what I used that green tag for, which is also from the Maggie Holmes Willow Lake? What is it called? Willow something. Willow Pond. Not quite a lake, a pond. So, and I thought maybe I would use that little card with the bow on it. And I'm just going to save the other edge of that tag. That will just go to the side. So I also had that little Cocoa Daisy stamp set that had the word read on it. So I wanted that on here somewhere. So I'm going to ink up the word read in black, and I'm going to stamp it 3 times. So I just wanted to make sure that my stamp was inked. And I'm going to test it out, and that I didn't have ink all over my block. So there, I'm going to like the way that looks. Read 3 times. And I think this picture it was about, my daughter had pre-ordered the new John Green book. And when it came, she was so thrilled. So I think I was just sitting on the couch and took a picture of her. But it's very apropos because she, is a reader, works in publishing all day. So it's really all about the books around here. So I'm not sure what just happened to my camera angle, but now you can see very distractingly the edge of my tripod in it. I must have moved something. All right, so I just went and found a Brad, probably from, I want to say Me and My Big Ideas, but that's not what it is. MMA, whatever that stands for, I can't think of it right now. I just used a few word stickers around. I think those we said were Vicky Boutin. And I'm really loving her new stuff. I'm going to have to break into that. And I wanted to use this label sticker. Oh, you know what? Maybe those aren't by... yeah, they are. Maybe they're Maggie Holmes. Anyway, if you go to peel one of the label stickers off of the sheet, probably Maggie Holmes ones, it's almost like nothing. So I cut out the whole big piece. And there's some close-ups, so you could see what I did there. And then the full sheet. And that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye.